Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Melody Cedarstrom. Are you there, Beth?
I am here.
Okay.
Once again, we're having some phone issues. We don't like Skype anymore. Whoever's in charge of Skype, you're doing a bad job. So good morning, everybody. Good
Bill
morning.
Gates.
What'd you say, Bill Gates? Is he in charge?
He's in charge.
Oh, it wasn't one of his better ideas?
Yeah.
It was in its day. It was in its day. Well, the big news is, did you watch, or the big question of the day, did you watch the State of the Union address? And we're taking calls on that topic. Do not stray from the topic. We want to hear from you on whether you watched and what you thought about the State of the Union address and the theatrics that went along with it. So the number to call is 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. I watched it in its entirety, and as I told my listeners on CSC Talk Radio, I wanted them to watch it, but it was up to them whether they watched the Jabberwocky afterwards with all the talking heads and politicians telling us what we heard, what we should have thought, what everything meant. And so I watched it all. I was up till almost 1. It was probably after 12:30 when I finally crashed. But anyway, so I watched it all. It is, as Melody and I were saying before we went on air, it's theatrics. And I'm not just talking about the president. I'm talking about all of the theatrics that went along with it. I was on Twitter, Melody, and it was pretty hysterical what was going on Twitter. Not because of the president so much, but because of the way that the left, the Democrats, were behaving. So, are you there?
Yes, I am. I don't do Twitter, so I could only imagine. But, I think he did a good job in presenting his speech. I don't think there was anything new or shocking or anything, and he carried it out well. And you can say that the Democrats sitting was overdone, and you can also say that the standing and clapping was overdone too. I mean, it was just get on, but I guess it's done in to me anymore. I mean,
it's a production.
It's just a production, and it's
it is a production.
And to me, it's a waste of time. I mean, and it's like, what's the point? What I thought was interesting is you didn't have all the court justices there, the Supreme Court justices there. I believe there was and that was a little surprising.
I knew that Ginsburg wasn't going to be there. She had a previous engagement.
Well. Anyway, it's surprising that the rest of them didn't show up then, and it's hard to believe that you have another engagement when you know the time and the date, years in advance. So, pretty much, you leave your calendar open knowing that, the end of January you have the State of the Union address and you should be there. So, to that respect, but I was surprised there was, 4 of them that showed up. And and even Gorsuch, he didn't seem very happy at all. He looked pretty glum throughout the whole speech and I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched half of it. But he looked pretty glum at the end of it and so forth. So, I don't know what's going on there, but
well, I think they were trying, and this is just me, I think they were trying to be reticent. They can't show a partisan with the Democrats or the Republicans. So I think they were trying to sit there and there was a tweet that went out about the face on Gorsuch because it was so solemn, it was so stale. I mean, it was just no emotion at all, just almost looked unhappy. But
but I mean, there's one thing when you don't want to show any type of favoritism, but there's something else when you can sit there and look, and then there's something else when you look like he did.
Yeah.
He looked like he was in pain.
And I know. He was, at that point in time when they put the camera on him, President Trump was talking about SCOTUS, and he was talking about the federal judges, the accomplishments that they have made. And you and I have said this before, that he has made a lot of appointments in the federal courts that people aren't talking about. And so I think Gorsuch goes, I know he's talking about me, but I can't smile. I can't let on he's talking about me.
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, it was
anyway,
so
I don't know, but that's the way I saw it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it was.
No, I'm not saying he was, looking that way because he was, not, he was, but I mean, it was a very noticeable, lack of reaction to anything, even a smile or even a, whatever, but, something very noticeable. And I told you during the break too, another funny moment, and I don't know what Trump was talking about, but, they had panned the camera over to, what's his face?
Schumer.
No, McCollum.
Oh, McConnell. Okay, I thought you said Schumer when we were talking before the show. Okay.
No, not Schumer. And I don't know what he was talking about, but he was kind of leaning forward in his chair, and Trump had just made a statement. He just kind of put his head down and rubbed his forehead. Like, oh, God. Am I in trouble?
Oy vey, huh?
Yeah.
And, they expected it to be a positive, and I thought it was a positive speech. Obviously, the Democrats did not see it that way. I thought it didn't give any surprises.
No.
I thought he did a great job. It was very emotional with the guests that they had. And he was making a point, obviously. And the Democrats, I don't know what to say other than they don't see it the same. And they don't see the dangers that they have put us in and want to continue to put the American people in with their bad legislations and their bad decisions and their ignoring of the federal laws regarding immigration. And so, he had... the guests that were there, I thought, were very good. I thought it was an emotional time, and I got a little grin on my face with the young couple, the police officer, and then they adopted the baby from the drug addict that he had rescued or arrested. And she was holding that baby, and she looked surprised that it was her turn, and she had the baby all covered up. She had a blanket on. I thought she was nursing the baby, but if they adopted, she wasn't doing that. And anyway, it was very emotional, I thought, and such a warm story of the American heart, a true American heart that's willing to love those who need help, that are willing to help and love others. And the Democrats act like all of us are bigots and don't care about anybody but ourselves, and that's just not true. And, if it was, you and I wouldn't be here every day. But I thought it was a good speech. No surprises. I was appalled by the behavior of the Democrats, and I always am. And like you said, the Republicans do the same thing when it's a Democrat. But other than the man yelling, "You lied," I don't recall the Republicans booing. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall them booing and behaving as the Democrats have in the last couple. Remember last year they all wore white. The women wore white, and I can't remember their logic in that, but they all wore white for power for women because Trump was against women, and they just make up stuff. They just make it up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. And, of course, the big deal was last night Melania didn't ride with Trump to the session. She entered on her own. And, of course, all rumors were starting on that and so forth and whatnot, and that she wore white. And she made a statement with wearing white. I will agree with that, and I think it was a good statement. I thought it was a great statement.
I did too.
So I don't have any issues with that. And but it's funny. I did watch when he got into his little limo and they were taking him to the building. I did think, where's Melania? And I didn't know. And I thought, well, that's a little odd. He's going by himself. And I thought, well, why wouldn't she be going, and so forth. So it was something, and I didn't have the volume, on the television. I had it down, and I was just watching, and
well, the guest
because I was doing something else, so I thought it was a little on.
The guest that Melania,
right,
and Vice President Pence's wife, I can't think of her first name. The guests that they had there, they actually
rode with them,
and they gave them tours. They had a reception for them, and so that's what they were doing, while the men were getting ready to get, their speeches and everything that they had to do. Of course, I guess Vice President Pence didn't have a speech, but while they were doing everything else, they were doing the hosting.
Right.
They were the hostesses for these couples that were there, for these guests, and they had a reception and a tour, and so that's why they were separate.
I love the stories last night, and every year they bring stories of the American people and so forth, and I'm not sure they're beautiful stories of hurt and pain and accomplishments, and a show, as you said, the caring of the American people and what we do as individuals and everything. Those are beautiful stories, not just this year, but other years and so forth. Is that the place to share those stories?
Well, because it's become a big production, and that's not really what the State of the Union originally was to be about. It was to be a meeting. It's an annual meeting between the President and Congress. But it's a production now, and of course the American people are drawn into it, and we get to see these people, these actors on the stage. And Pelosi, she was above and beyond her plastic self last night. She was not only sitting there, she was angry, and you could tell she was angry. And she was chewing on something. I said it looked like she was biting bullets. It was just a disgusting display, not ladylike, not American-like. I mean, it was a disgusting display, what she put on. And, of course, that ended up the picture of the night. It went everywhere. It was viral across Twitter last night, the picture of Pelosi biting bullets and misbehaving at the State of the Union address. But it's not supposed to be the big production that it has turned out to be since TV and radio all took place, It was, I thought the speech was good. I didn't think there were any surprises. The Democrats thought it was terrible and dark and, dismal, and it was just everything un-American. And, of course, I don't know if you got to see the young Kennedy who made the comments.
I got just goosebumps on that. He was dark.
He was dark.
He was dark.
And his speech was written before he ever listened to the president.
Yes, absolutely, because I'm thinking, what did he watch?
And I want to comment on his speech and something
whatsoever.
I want to comment on his speech and something that he did. I think we're going into a break. We're having a little phone issue, so I'm not sure. I don't hear the music, but I think we're going into a break.
Yes, we are going into break. Yes,
so let's give the number, 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. And I want to talk about the young Kennedy and something that he did in his speech. And, yes, it was dark. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. I was just talking about CSC Talk Radio. I told her I have written a poem that will be the opening for CSC Talk Radio, so you're going to want to stay tuned in or switch your shortwave channel over to 1.12260. I can't ever remember what it is. And Melody, we were talking about the young Kennedy. First of all, you know, the talking heads, they always say stuff. And one of the things that they had said last night was, why did they choose him? Why did they get this young guy to do this? And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Remember when we stuck Rubio up there and he had to grab the bottle of water because his mouth was so dry, he was so nervous? That makes no sense to me that they would even bring that up. But the thing that I wanted to mention, yes, his speech was dark, and his speech was very negative, and he wrote that speech before he ever heard the president. So it wasn't really commenting on the president's speech.
No, there was no rebuttal there.
No, but what he did, because they want to stand for all the illegal immigrants, he spoke in Spanish at the end.
Yeah.
As if they are the only immigrants we have in this country.
Yep.
And yet they call all the rest of us white bigots, white supremacist, nationalist bigots. And then they do something like that. And I mean, that's when I just about lost it with him, thinking this young boy needs to be taken to the woodshed. There was no excuse in that. And you talk about being racist and bigoted. That's exactly what that was. The Democrats are going after these votes, and they made it bluntly clear with the young Kennedy speech last night. And with their behavior.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I don't mean to interrupt you, and I finish your thought.
You're not interrupting. Well, and then, of course, they booed when the president talked about eliminating chain migration and the visa lotteries. The Democrats actually booed, kind of like they did in the 2008 Democrat convention when God was mentioned. They booed God twice during that convention. They are not for the American people. Oh, we have a caller. We have Oscar from North Carolina. Oscar, how are you today?
Good morning, ladies. How are you today?
Good morning. Just fine,
Good.
thank
Good
you.
to hear from you, sir.
I'm here listening to your program, and I'm very happy, absolutely happy. I tell you, I watched the whole speech last night, and I was so pleased with everything that our president had to say. My take on all of this is that finally, after so many years, we have a good representative of our great nation. And as far as I can see, the opposition, the other side, is not only opposition anymore. They are their enemies, our enemies. These people, to me,
right.
This is my personal opinion, they look so evil. They look so angry. And the reason they look like that is because they could not consolidate their aspirations and their power as they thought they would, should Hillary Clinton would have won. But that's not the case now. And, I was fortunate enough to record and watch the whole event in Davos. Our president, he represents us so brilliantly. He had meetings with the top CEOs, executives of economies and things like that over there, and he struck some deals that is amazing. He had a dinner there with those guys, and it was almost like having a meeting with the Parliament here in the United States. Everybody was so attentive to him and so willing to come here and invest. I mean, unfortunately, the news media don't participate with the things because they're all lefties. They want to destroy the man, and they don't show us anything, all the progress and all the accomplishment of our president. But I have, like I said, I was fortunate enough to witness the whole time that he was there, since the minute he arrived until, his speech, which was brilliant, and then the dinner that he had with all executives there and people like that. Now, as far as last night is concerned, I am so pleased and so happy to see somebody that, President Trump is the second man with the highest IQ since President Adams. The man is so intelligent. He is brilliant. And all his enemies are so angry at him because, like I said, they couldn't win. I've heard you saying, making a comment about Pelosi. I thought the same thing you said, Beth. I thought that she was angry. She was displeased, angry. It was awful. I mean, all of them. And then Schumer.
It was a terrible display. Unprofessional.
Oh, mercy. I want to get off the air because I want somebody else to have the opportunity to call. But in resume, I am so happy. I'm dancing, and to see my old boss. He is my boss. I play for his wedding.
Yes. That is awesome.
And, to see my old boss again in that position, he is absolutely brilliant. And God bless America, and God bless him, and God bless those that are in favor of him. Have a good day, ladies, and thanks a million for letting me talk.
Thank you, Oscar. I appreciate that. What a talented man. I just love to hear from Oscar. The display that the politicians, be it Democrat or Republican, last night it happened to be Democrat, that they put on with their angry faces. That was one of my tweets. I got the angry face from the Mr. Potato Head, and said Pelosi was wearing her angry eyes. And it's a display that is a disgusting display. It's un-American. It's one thing to disagree with legislation and policies, but what they are disagreeing with and refusing to stand by is federal law and Constitution, federal laws of immigration and Constitution, and protecting our borders. And then they're calling the American people the bigots. And if you happen to be a black person and you agree with Donald Trump, then, you're an Uncle Tom. It is just absolutely ridiculous. And I guess I didn't get to read it. Somebody sent me the link, and I was too busy getting things ready for both the shows here. But apparently and I don't know if you saw anything about it this morning or not, but apparently Hillary Clinton made the scene. After the speech, she had written out a long explanation of why she didn't fire this guy and all the precautions and what she did. Bottom line was she's an enabler. She's an enabler. They claim they're for women's rights and they want to protect the women, and then they enable these abusers. I'm just done with them. I'm just really done with them. And I hope that even those who have that are registered Democrats, I hope they saw the light last night when they saw these faces and their behavior that, maybe they think that's the way to do this. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. It's a disgusting display. It's un-American. It's unprofessional. And it's certainly, Plastic Pelosi was not ladylike in her behavior. And, of course, I don't know that she ever is. But that's not how you stand tall. They wanted to talk about standing tall with Comey's remark about McCabe when he lost his job. Well, that's not how you stand tall. Anyway, I have the fact checks. I don't know if anybody's interested in the fact checks on his speech, but I do have that if you want to hear them.
Sure.
Okay. His first statement is that it checks here is our massive tax cuts provide tremendous relief for the middle class and small business. A typical family of four making $75,000 will see their tax bill reduced by $2,000, slashing their tax bill in half. Okay, that was the statement. The fact checks, now this is coming from the Heritage Foundation, okay, just so everybody knows where it's coming from. The fact check is the Heritage Foundation found that the tax bill for a married couple who are homeowners with 3 children earning $75,000 in annual income would decline by 2014 or 115% to zero, plus a fundamental credit of 261. So they are going to get, they are getting the tax cut. He didn't lie about that. I'm kind of wondering about the facts on that one, is whether it's really going to be that much. We have heard, and I guess it varies from family to family and, that kind of thing. But anyway, there was more to read on that, but I didn't have a chance to read all of the details on it. This is just the bare bones on the fact check. And you and I both said this is just a pittance. They're just, throwing it out like a stimulus. But be that as it may, it is a tax cut. Statement 2. We built the Empire State Building in just 1 year. Is it not a disgrace that it can now take 10 years just to get a permit approved for a simple road? And I tell you what, I just thought that was a fantastic statement. I didn't know if it was true about the Empire State Building, but it was. It says the construction of the building took only 1 year and 45 days from the setting of the tower's first steel column on April 7th of 1930 to the completed building by March 31st, 1931. It was a full month after the official opening ceremony, so it did take a little over a year, but it was right at 1 year. We have Joe from Arkansas. I'm going to break here and go to Joe. Joe, how are you today?
Oh, I'm getting by. How are you?
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, what you said about the Empire State Building, about them doing the whole thing in 1 year, I think that shows that these people that say we could not get our manufacturing back from China anymore, we could not make all the stuff that we need in this country anymore. We could not go back to the way we were, virtually self-sufficient country and running a trade surplus. We could not do that anymore. Times have changed and so on like that. It's not the America it used to be. No, I think the fact that the Empire State Building was built in 1 year when the government wasn't so much on the backs of the American people, I think that shows that, all these things, all these economic revivals and renewals and so on like that some people like me are calling for, I think they are possible. I think they could be done. I think Americans could do it, if the government would allow them allow us to.
And Joe, I think his point was the bureaucracy that, that it takes longer than that just to get a permit to build a road or a permit to put a building up or a permit to do this or a permit to do that. And we've got to blame Congress on this. Congress is the one who puts this bureaucracy in place, and they just let the alphabet bureaucracy dictate to us and mandate to us and all these legislations, permits and taxes and, well, I guess they don't call them taxes, permits and licenses. And if you've ever been in construction, you know what horrible stuff they put you through just to get, before you can even break ground, you have to test for, there might be some kind of a bug there that is protected. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, sure, and it's not only Congress that does that, but plenty of state and local governments do that same kind of thing. And of course, ultimately, the people have to take responsibility. The people keep on voting for these people that do that.
Right.
So that the people are eventually and ultimately responsible. But I wanted to comment on the State of the Union speech. And I did not hear the actual live speech, but I have heard a lot of clips from it and a lot of people commenting on it this morning. And it just sounds to me like Trump is just still trying too hard to compromise and make deals and accommodate the Democrats, and I just wish he would not do that, because I don't think the Democrats want to, make any deals or make any compromises or let the other side get anything of what they want. I think all the Democrats want is to destroy Trump, destroy the Republican Party, and grab absolute power for themselves forever. I think that's all they want, and if they make any deals or compromises, they'll do their best not to keep up their end of the bargain, but make sure that they get they'll make sure that they get what they want, but they'll make sure that they'll do their best not to keep their end of the bargain, so that the other side that they compromise with, doesn't get anything of what they want. And so I think Trump is still making a mistake to try to make deals and compromises and accommodations for the Democrats. I wish he wouldn't do that. In fact, what I really think he ought to do, I think it could be proven. I think a real, honest to goodness, legitimate case could be made that the leaders of the Democrats are committing treason and that they ought to be put in prison for that. Like, for instance, take one example. Treason is defined as making war against this country, giving aid and comfort to the enemies, I believe. And, there is amongst some of the Mexicans, as I understand it, a Reconquista movement to take territory, take the Southwest away from the United States and give it back to Mexico. And I bet it could be proved that the Democrat leaders are supporting, giving some substantial material aid and support to this kind of movement. And so, and that's treason. That's trying to take territory away from our country and give it to a foreign power. And that's real treason. So I think, personally, what I think is the Trump administration ought to be doing their best to make up a real legitimate case of treason against the leaders of the Democrats and put them in prison, get them out of the way. They're just holding up the works. They're just holding up anything good from being accomplished in this country. So that's what I have to say. I think Trump is just still trying too much to accommodate and make deals and compromises with the Democrats. Okay, thank you. That's what I have to say.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the call. But the Democrats think the opposite. They don't think he's given them anything. And I think his base is disappointed. I think that a lot of the base didn't want him to cave at all. I think he's going to have to. I don't like it, but the 1.8 million, from 800,000 to 1.8 million. When we talk about there's possibly 30 million here in the country or more, it's a pretty small compromise in the big realm of things. If we get the wall, if they do away completely with the visa lottery, if they do away completely with the what do they call it? The chain migration thing, or chained. There's one woman that kept going off calling it chained migration yesterday. But if we can get those things, and if we can get this back in hand, get it back in control, then it might be worth that compromise. But maybe people will disagree with me, and that's okay. I'm all right with that. But go ahead. Did you have something, Melody?
Well, you know what? I think Trump is going to do, and he is going to try to change things. And I think he's had a very good start. But what he does, what he's brilliant at also, is giving people hope.
Yeah.
And I believe hope is a little different than reality.
It can be, yes.
And so, and this is, hey, I think it'd be great if we could change things around. I think it would be great if we could do this. I think it would be great if we could, just eliminate our debt. I think it would be great if we could do this. I think it would be great if, we can provide jobs to every American in this country with a decent wage, and health care drops, 2,000% along with medications and everything else, and we eliminate the opioid problem. And yeah, those are all fantastic goals, and I support all of that. But we're going to have to wait and see how this all plays out.
Oh, I know.
And in 4 years, we're talking about the benefits of the tax cuts before they even happen. We talk about all the jobs that in manufacturing. We talk about being, energy independent. That's all great, fantastic, wonderful. I hope we can. Do you know how long it's going to take and what happens between point A and point B? A lot of things can happen. So, no, I'm not always the pessimist. I always try to be optimistic.
Not?
I'm not. Oh, hush. Just hush there. And, no, but I look at reality. And, I'd be disappointed, and it's a matter of, no wonder that the American people get so disappointed all the time. Yeah. We get so disappointed because we're promised all these things. We're given all this hope. We don't look at the reality. We don't look at other things, obstacles. So when I talk about these things, I'm just talking about obstacles.
But we
have to face those obstacles. We just can't be thinking that we're going to be entering in a world like I talk about the flying unicorns and purple rainbows.
Careful now.
It's life.
We have to have hope in order to get anything done. But hope and promises are not enough. We can't just sit here and say, he's going to do this. We have to get up, and we have to be active in our own communities and get things done. We do have a caller. We have Tom in Michigan. Tom, how are you today?
Hi. Thanks for taking my call. Talking about the tax cuts, I heard him say last night that the married couple would be able to make $24,000 without paying any taxes. He said that he doubled the standard deduction. And, looking up this in the IRS instruction book for the 1040 form, it says that in there, in the contents you can look up, who must file or require, and there's a table A, B, C, and on the table A, it's already something like, it's over $20,000 for somebody under 65, married couple filing jointly. So, that, to my math, that's under 5%. Or under 20%, I should say. And so, I don't think he's actually, and you add to that with a huge corporate tax cut, and then they're going to have the tax cuts for the individuals are going to sunset out. I just, I'm not a lefty, but I think, that they do have, some legitimate concerns about the whole nature of the tax cuts. Like I say, I don't think Mr. Trump actually read, actually knows the technicalities of the standard deduction. He's probably, never been that low in the income. That's gross income, 20,000 gross income. But if you don't file, that's all they know about, anyways. The other thing is a person he's kind of leans to the left told me about his main criticism is with all these regulations going out the window, he says that Monsanto and people like them are going to be left to just do whatever they want now. They're going to be able to sell any kind of inferior GMO products to the people, and he's concerned about corporate pollution and destroying the earth in his words. But
Monsanto has no restrictions now, really.
Well,
now they really don't.
I don't know. They're as much a company of lawyers, it seems, as they are a biotech company. They have a real bad reputation, from what I can tell. I mean, these are things that details that maybe will need to be worked out because, it's correct that too much regulation is just, we just can't run a modern technological society like that. But, we can't live in a garbage dump either.
No,
I agree.
And we don't. But we do have way too many regulations, and I haven't heard anything yet that has restricted or released, maybe I should say, Monsanto in any way. They've already had pretty much a clean slate to go do whatever they want here in the United States.
Let me ask you a question. When they were talking about regulations, and this is what I don't hear, it's just, we've eliminated regulations. Well, what regulations? Tell us which ones. Don't just, if a particular regulation is going to, if you eliminate a particular regulation that's really going to have an impact, tell us what that regulation is. Don't just say, we'll group them all together. And I think that's why, same way with the tax cuts. You just hear these numbers thrown out. We're supposed to trust everybody that gives us these numbers, and I'm saying you're not going to know what the tax cuts really do until at least next year, until people start filing their taxes, until it all flows through. And as far as I know, these taxes weren't retroactive for 2017, so it's going to be until this year, until we really see the type of impacts that it really has. Just don't throw me numbers, and that's what they do. And we're heading into break, so yes, we are.
Give the number again, 717-300-1218. Thank you, Tom, very much for your call. 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we're talking about the State of the Union address last night, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. We're going to go straight to the phone lines. We have Ari in Utah. Ari, how are you today? Good to hear from you.
Hi. Good morning, ladies. I'm doing good.
Good morning.
I just
What's on your mind?
I have a couple quick comments that I'd like to make. I heard your interview yesterday, Melody, with Greg Hunter on Watchdog.
Yes.
Pretty incredible. I really appreciate him being on the air. I really enjoyed his interviews in the past, along with a guy from Japan too. I wish they could be on the. I wish you could have them on the air once a week. That would be nice. But anyways, I'm kind of like you though. I'm looking at reality, and I'm saying, "Wow, boy, does he got his place full." And my gut tells me something different. I think we're going to be disappointed again. To what extent, I don't know.
I agree.
But, wow, that interview yesterday was pretty incredible. I was just listening to a radio show this morning, an hour ago, and he's the spokesman for Vice President Pence and Trump. He's like a news guy. I don't know his exact official title, but he's from Washington, and he was on a local talk radio show here called Talk. He was on the air for about 40 minutes or so, and he sounded really kind of real establishment, the way he explained it. But anyways, I think, as far as I'm concerned, there's some things I'm right with Pastor Butch on Trump. Some things I like, some things I don't. I think the jury's still out. But anyways, one of the main reasons why I called is about Pastor Butch. I listened to his show last night. I enjoy his radio show. He's been really having problems for years, and he's a really, really nice man. I've talked to him several times personally over the radio about some personal issues in my life.
We do have another caller, Ari. So, do you want to
quickly make a point?
Yeah.
It sounds like we're going to lose him off the air, and I don't know. I'm not in a position to help him, but he needs some help from somebody.
All right. Well, we appreciate your call, Ari.
Thank you, Ari. Appreciate it. We're going to go to Lance in Texas. Lance, how are you today?
Good morning, ladies. I'm fantastic.
What's on your mind?
That speech was like a walk-off home run to win the World Series last night or something. That was awesome. I don't like his speaking style. It's so lowest common denominator, but I guess that's what you got to do to get through to some of these knuckleheads we got. As far as the taxes go, anything's better than what we had. As far as the regulations, Mel made a good point that you don't know which ones he's yanking. As long as corporations are treated like people, you're always going to have that problem. So you're always going to have regulations.
And you do know that the Supreme Court is the one that made that decision that corporations were people.
Supreme Court can reverse itself.
Yeah, it could.
Anyway,
back that trailer up.
Ladies.
Thank you, Lance.
All righty.
Appreciate the call.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
I'm going to give a...
I just want to make a quick comment before we go off the air today, and this was in response to Ari's call. And we did have a great interview yesterday with Greg Hunter on financial survival, and he spent mostly the whole hour talking about the subset with the memos being released and who could possibly go down and how it's going to play out and everything. So it really was a fantastic interview, and you can go to Financial Survival and listen to that program at dgscoins.com, dgscoins.com. And again, if you haven't, you go to the radio page and you can see the archives, and go to the one that's dated yesterday. So it really was a fantastic interview. And of course, we also have James Corbett, and he'll be interviewed. You can listen to his interview on Friday this week. So we have him on twice a month. And we have Greg Hunter on once a month at Financial Survival Radio. So make sure you get there, dgscoins.com. And I want to thank Ari for mentioning that program yesterday. So.
All right. Appreciate that. Well, we've had some pretty good discussions about the State of the Union address last night. I know that those who lean on the left and the socialism side, they didn't like it. They thought it was dark. They thought it was ugly. I believe that the young Kennedy made a fool of himself last night. But I want to promote a little bit, and then I'm going to just turn it over to you, Melody. I want to promote the next show because CSC Talk Radio will be coming up on 12.160. And Melody will be with me. We're going to continue this conversation. We may lean in a little bit another direction, but we're going to continue our discussion regarding the State of the Union address with listeners that I have in other places as well. But I have written a monologue. It's just a little poem that we will open up with. Melody has no clue what it is, so she's going to have to stifle her giggles because I'm fairly certain it'll make her laugh. But I've written a little poem, and I guess I could give a little teaser. Out. I will not stand for their Uncle Sam. I will not stand and clap my hands. I will not stand for their anthem song. I will not honor the elected son. And that's just the beginning. It's a full page of poem, and Dr. Seuss is probably rolling in his grave. But anyway.
Well, I can't wait to hear the whole thing.
I detected a little sarcasm in that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I think you make wonderful poems, and so.
Well, I did it in rather a big hurry this morning. I had the idea as I woke up, and I thought, this is what I got to do. This is what is my calling today, to write a poem. And but Melody, you mentioned earlier in the show that you deal with reality, and that's exactly what she does with discount gold and silver trading. If she deals with reality, visit dgscoins.com, listen to her shows there, and read her newsletter. You'll see little things from me there every once in a while, and but she's got better writers than I am. I'm just kind of one of those that throws those opinions out there, but maybe I'll send you my poem this year. This week I'll send you my poem. Anyway, Melody deals in reality, and I'm going to let her take it from there.
Well, thanks.
Welcome.
I got all 3 minutes.
I was giving you. Don't blow it.
Well, I believe that whatever we turn around or whatever we do, we're going to face some major obstacles, and we're not going to turn anything around or everything around without being effective somehow in some way in our finances. I understand what a fiat currency is. I understand where it goes. Today I saw Mnuchin asking them to please increase the debt ceiling. You have, and I know people will applaud. You have government workers that aren't, they've quit paying into their pensions and stuff like that. And I get everybody's going to applaud and say yay, but that's part of the picture. That tells you just how far we've gone to the point where we don't have the money, and yet we're spending $1 trillion on infrastructure. we talked about government wanting to nationalize the 5G system and then rent out to the other people. And I was reading to an article about that today, saying, government doesn't have the $300 billion or $500 billion that it's going to cost in order to do it. What benefit would they get from it, or what benefit would AT&T and the other wireless suppliers benefit from the government controlling it? And it's because they don't have to pay for it. They rent it, but they don't have to worry about the upkeep. They don't have to worry about tons of other things. Why wouldn't it be better to rent from them? And it would save them billions and billions of dollars. So I don't think they talk about the government nationalizing the 5G wireless system. He says it was an old program. It was an old thought. Hey, it was a thought. It was put down. It was presented. And this is where we're headed. And are we willing to accept that in order to accept all the other promises? I don't know.
Well, again, we can't rely just on these elected officials. We have to hold them accountable. We've sat back at... Go ahead.
But my whole point is you still need to get protected and protect your finances. And Discount Gold and Silver will help you with your gold and silver needs. So give us a call. 1-800-375-4188. That's 1-800-375-4188. Turn your shortwave dial over to 12.160, and Melody and Beth Ann will be there with CSC Talk Radio, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldAndSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.